Now, it's no secret that getting on the property ladder has become increasingly more difficult for millions of people across the UK. And in 2022, one of the wackiest years I've seen in my life, we saw house prices hit all-time highs, with the house price to wage ratio hitting crazy numbers. And if you look at the historical graphs of home prices as a percentage of annual salaries, then you can see that we are currently seeing some of the highest rates that we've ever seen, making life so much difficult for those people who really want to get on the property ladder. And if you live in London, my friends, let's just say the odds are stacked against you even more. Now, all of this here may already have you disheartened at the prospect of ever owning your own home. But I need you to stick with me, because there are certainly things that we can look at in this video and across this channel that could well help you make a decision on whether buying a house is even the right thing for you to do. Plus, it's important to recognize that there are many ways of dissecting the question of should you buy a house in 2023 or wait, especially if you want to separate investment properties from residential properties, as I believe that's really, really important to do. And each of these open up their own can of worms and questions that we must all ponder before we go out there and make a decision. So for that reason, I want to split this video into two, and we're going to start with investment properties first. Now, I'm actually going to begin by listing a few points here that I want you all to consider and think about when it comes to investment properties. Now, I've openly stated that the traditional means of buying a rental property, i.e. a buy-to-let, is not something that I would personally be looking to do this year. It's simply not as appealing, the rates suck, the legislation is highly favoured towards a tenant, and the incentive to be the public's punching bag at their frustrations of not being able to buy a house is never fun. However, I'm not in the same position as you, my friends. You may be a lot more risk adverse than me. You may not want to invest in property full time, or you may just simply want to move your money from a bank into bricks and mortar, knowing because you're smart, the inflation won't completely kill it off. And over time, yes, many years in the future, it'd have at least grown and given you some well-earned equity. At least I hope it does. And that certainly makes buying a rental property, even in these times, a potentially better prospect than just leaving your money sat there in a bank doing nothing. But there are also better options, at least from an investment perspective, in my opinion. Yes, the risks are potentially higher in some circumstances, but so are the returns. So not to waste your time on this video, check this one out if you're interested after this. So anyways, is now the best time to buy an investment property if we stick to the traditional 25% deposit down of a buy-to-let? Sadly, my friends, the answer is maybe. If you are happy in your employment, for example, and let's say you have cash losing value daily to inflation in a bank, giving you a measly 1 or 2%, it may be worth doing it if the figures on the rental property that you're seeing are higher when you assess those returns. If it's higher, then the effort to do so could well be worth it. However, I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't share my sentiments around opportunity cost. Let's say the market does tank even by 15%, whether you want to call that a correction or a crash. That's significant. With over 2 million refinances happening this year alone and more landlords leaving the market than we've seen in recent years, and the cost of living really taking its toll on people, could there be better opportunities if you just sit on the sidelines for a few moments? By moments, I mean months to years, perhaps. Now, I'm not a psychic and it may surprise me and never happen, but by waiting for the right opportunity or seeking it in the current market that we're in, you could well make instant equity if you're able to buy at a great price. And then, my friends, it's a no-brainer to buy right now. But similarly, if you buy a property at the top of the market and see a wobble, you may also have the possibility of negative equity occurring upon a refinance, and then you'll find yourselves needing more years to recoup that return on investment and having to put your own cash back in. And this is why I urge people to really understand their numbers. And I have a free deal analyzer, my friends, in the description below, and I welcome you all to check that out, along with some free videos if you are a newbie on how to set your goals when it comes to property investing. Now, what about interest rates? The general consensus is the base rate will at least increase at least once more this year, with inflation needing to obviously calm down. We are seeing people get nervous off the back of last year, and we've seen people put billions, I'm talking billions, into savings and building societies for the rainy days, and sadly, just to pay the energy bills which have gone through the roof in recent times. So what does this mean? It means consumer confidence is low, and with interest rates high when lending, the market may continue to slow down. At least that's what I feel based on today. This means that those cash buys will definitely be ready to pounce. And for yourself, it could well be worth assessing the deals you are looking at with a contingency in place, of course, before you jump and go ahead. Please know your numbers, my friends. But once you see something that hits your criteria, then of course it's about taking action. And maybe then it is just a good time to go and buy. Moving on, let's look at residential properties. This is a different kettle of fish in my eyes. And also, friends, can someone explain that expression? Because I've actually used it quite a lot throughout my life, but I've never really understood it. So let me know in the comments below what it actually means. Anyways, with residential properties, you will likely find yourself buying with emotion and then rationalizing with yourself with some sort of logic. For example, many people like to overspend during the stamp holidays, but they probably convinced themselves they needed that extra bedroom because of lockdown or a larger garden because of, I don't know, space. And the truth is, we all do it every single day with our decisions. Sometimes we skip the gym to tell ourselves we can work out twice as hard tomorrow. Yet the truth is, we can work out twice as hard tomorrow and still go today. So recognize that residential property purchasing is sometimes more emotional than it is logical. And also, I find them quite funny because this country is obsessed with owning a home. And I'm not saying that's right or I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying an obsession can sometimes lead to poor choices if you haven't ruled out all the other options available to yourselves. Now, similar to investments, if the property prices drop, let's say 5 to 10% from the amount you bought it at, upon refinance, negative equity could be hitting you. And that will sting, my friends. So be sure that you are in a comfortable position with the price that you paid and you've done your own analysis and you know what you want to pay for it because of what you think it's worth. This isn't the price the agent or the vendor asked for, it's what you're happy to pay and what you believe it's worth. And this is why, again, you need to know your numbers, my friends. Remember, rates aren't what they used to be. So the larger the mortgage, the more you'll be paying over the term, which leads me on to deposits. There's two basic thoughts here, and this may be interesting to you guys. At least I hope so. Do you put down 5% or do you max out your deposit so you're paying less debt? A question to consider. Again, the answer of which one you should do is it depends. Personally, I don't like 5% deposits. However, hypothetically speaking, in my situation, not yours, my friends, if I was ever to buy a residential, which I don't plan on doing anytime soon, I would at least assess the following options. For example, let's say I was going to put down 20% deposit on a particular property, but I actually had £80,000 available in order to do so. What I would then be at least thinking about is, could I utilize the £60,000 and maybe pick up 1 or 2 properties in the hopes of achieving, let's just say £500 net per calendar month off both of them? Because at the minute, the returns aren't that great. That £500 I would then have helping me towards my mortgage, whilst knowing that I also have 2 assets going up in value over time, which could be potentially paid off by the tenant. Now that's a little risky, and for some of you, putting more deposit in and paying the mortgage may be the number one goal for yourselves, and investing on the side either doesn't appeal to you or just sounds like too much work. And if that is the case, then a higher deposit could definitely work for yourselves. But is 2023 the year to be doing this? Sadly, friends, nobody knows, because it's only in hindsight we can point the finger and say we could have, should have, and would have done this had we have known what we know now. But what we can do is make the best decisions on the facts we currently know. And here's some things I believe will happen. Inflation will come down at some point, especially if the Bank of England continues to increase their base rate. House prices will drop at some point. Correction or crash, let's not get into semantics, I believe they're still going to come down. The government won't save you, which is why you have to build your own income streams and learn to save yourselves, my friends, or increase your current income and become more valuable to the marketplace. And I've got plenty of videos on income streams and how to save on this channel that I'd urge you all to go and check out. And I will say, having some properties that you're invested in, I still think should be a goal for everyone, even if it's not the best time now. The last thing I want to see is people not pulling the trigger and then in 10 years time kicking themselves. I know this happened pre-pandemic when many people thought that the prices would drop, but they just carried on. They went crazy and they went to all-time highs. So anyways, all we know now is that times are tough. And I know I've said this quite a few times. I think it'll get worse before it gets any better. And I truly do believe that. It's not to scaremonger or promote fear to you guys, because I want you guys to do well and not struggle. I'd rather you make money and do well, and then for me to be wrong. That's absolutely cool for myself. But I do want to make sure that you at least look at the worst case scenarios before deciding if this is the year that you should be buying a property in. So do let me know what you think about this year in terms of buying in the comments below, and I'll try and respond to as many questions as I possibly can to help you. And as always, my friends, thanks for watching.